Hey everyone, let's start with a genuinely mind-blowing fact. If you're watching this right now, you aren't actually completely human. You have about 100 trillion microorganisms living deep inside your digestive tract. We call this ecosystem the gut microbiota. Biology textbooks have praised these microbes like they're our absolute best friends for digesting food, boosting immunity. But today, microbiologists have just pulled back the curtain on a massive plot twist. Today, our group is diving deep into a highly specific, brand new biological threat known as the gut resistor. To break down exactly what a resistor is and how it weaponizes bacteria, let's check in with our research team over in the lab.
Alright, let's make this concept clear. What is gut resistance? Now, let's think the gut microbiota as a huge library. And one of these shelves is gut resistor. Among one of this book is called antibiotic resistance gene.
So most people might assume that these dangerous resistant genes reside in the bad bacteria, but they don't. They also reside in the good, harmless, everyday bacteria.
Under normal conditions, your gut is balanced. Imagine this. And now you have a minor infection. You go to the clinic, get a powerful pill, but it ends up acting like a bomb. It destroys all the good bacteria inside your stomach. And now, all your gut diversity is ruined.
So this pill, it will kill off most of the bacteria in the gut, leaving behind a massive hole. And the only surviving bacteria in the gut will be the bacteria that possess the ARG gene, which will then start multiplying rapidly in your gut.
Now here's the thing. Bacteria, they love gossips. They share their techniques of survival through the process called horizontal gene transfer.
So via HGT, the good bacteria can transfer its ARG gene to the pathogen, which will create a completely untreatable bacteria inside your digestive tract.
For a really long time, there was mostly a terrifying theory. Doctors and researchers have treated this gut microbiome and systematic bloodstream infection as two completely unrelated.
But all of this changes today. A history-making study was published yesterday giving scientific evidence on how dangerous the internal reservoirs is.
The paper was amazing. The research team, they tracked the patients from the ICU who developed this deadly systematic bloodstream infection.
Historically, hospitals thought that if a patient had multi-drug resistant infection, then they must have picked it up externally. But that's not the case.
This brilliant study, they used a metagenomic shotgun sequencing to read every strand of genetic code in patients' stool samples week before they ever fell ill.
What they found was honestly so shocking. They proved an absolute near-perfect DNA match between the lethal pathogens and the silent resistant strains living in the gut for weeks before.
So, what actually happened? When heavy antibiotic caused the damage to our protective intestinal lining, these superbugs, they literally pull off a jailbreak. They physically cross over to this damaged intestinal lining and then directly leak into the blood supply. In microbiology, we call this microbial translocation.
The novel issue is officially out in the open. Under antibiotic strikes, our own digestive tract flips from being a helpful organ to the one causing these fatal infections.
Have you ever what's the problem for in today's world? Well, for me, I'm the problem in my own household. But antibiotics, which are broad spectrum, do also kill the gut microbiota, which are also good bacteria. So, you might be asking, how does it kill? Well, have a closer look. Now, have you ever wondered what kind of antibiotics, which are broad spectrum, does actually? Let's have a closer look. So if you see right here, this is all the bacteria included in this. When we use antibiotics, we do kill all of them. However, let's take for example a long run. If this is my antibiotics, I use this to kill. Yes, I do kill it, but in the future, it can lead to resistant genes actually they can trade. For example, like this. In the long run, this bacterial disease actually become much more resistant, and in the future also will undergo vertical or horizontal transmission to replicate more often. Now, let's move on to the next part. Alright, now let's look at the future of the medicines. In the future, we want to try new medicines instead of using antibiotics. Now, let's look at PMP, Prevention Metagenomic Profiling. Instead of trial and error, they can just use the gut microbiota to detect the DNA and RNA sequence for it. What it is, so instead of trial and error, as I mentioned, they could check it about it and check the virulence factor about it. Now let's go to the last part of this slide. Alright, so now let's look at the last part of it, actually the treatment. So I do think the treatment is really important for doctors and for everyone, because as a matter of fact, it also gives like chemotherapy or major treatment surgery. And if you come to think of it, hey, it does give like beneficial actually. In the future, they're still in development, but however, I do think actually it may work in the future. As a result, PMP also I mentioned about it, and also benefits for AMR.
As you can see, human microbiology has evolved, and the gut microbiota is no longer just act as a passive helper that help digest the food.
It's a dynamic, fast-moving, competitive community for the microbes.
And by mapping out the exact boundaries of the gut resistomes.
The scientific community is learning how to dismantle global superbugs from the inside out.
The future of the medicine isn't about inventing the harsh chemicals. It's about protecting, understanding, and restoring the ecosystem inside our gut.
Thank you so much for watching.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Hit the bell.
But for weekly recommendation.